Howdy there, backyarders. Alright, look, this is going to be a long kind of series of videos I'm going to do here. I'm going to try to stitch it together, but what I'm inside right now is I believe it's an Ultima or something. It's a Kia that a buddy of mine. Anyway, this is a car I did years and years and years ago. This is the one that had the first pillars, and then I don't know if you can see the subs back there, but anyway, there's a pair of the Encore 15s and a trunk baffle back there. So anyway, so what we're doing is that he's been running basically 6.5s in this hole here. As you can see here, you can see the lack of opening and stuff. And this thing is, deadened. I mean, you hear it deadened. Everything has been done on this thing, but unfortunately, it does not. It doesn't do us any good. There's just too small of a hole here. It's a 6.5-inch driver. It's just not enough. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be building a set of kick panels. This will require us to remove dead pedal and everything. Right now I'm doing the driver's side because the driver's side seems to be the hardest of the two sides. I've already had removed the factory airbag right here, so it's easier for me to get to. This area right here was actually this panel assembly right here. So luckily this is all unplugs, no big deal. But the big one is going to be right now is going to be this emergency brake kick that I have to deal with right now. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'll show you more in a minute. Wow, there. Part B. Okay, so as you can see right now, I've got harnesses yanked apart, pulled over here, power over there. I've got everything ripped apart right now. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm getting everything laid out where I'm going to go to. So basically, in a nutshell, all the cabling is going to go up and around this footwell right here, as tight as I can get it. And I'm going to use deadening material to cover over it so that I have a smooth transition. The bolt up here, that most likely, and I'm not going to say 100%, but it'll most likely be used to bolt the upper portion of the panel into place. Inside here will be what we will, in the end, will be an AP system. But for right now, it's just going to be, I'm just going to do something simple, to go right here for the time being. So, because I don't have the ability to measure my impedance, so I cannot set the AP. So I'd rather make the video for the AP later on, because this is going to be enough of a problem. The reason why this is a bit of an issue here is that this car here has a push type emergency brake instead of the pull type that usually is in the middle of the center console. No, this one has the push type, and so the mechanism itself is too difficult to modify into place where it needs to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up making my own bracket system, and as you can see here, right there are the bolts, and then there's another set of bolts. I apologize, it's somewhere over here. Up there they are, right there. So these bolts up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build me a bracket that'll go across there. Probably do some sheet metal, have it bent so that it's a nice bracket. And then I'm going to, this is the factory emergency brake. And the way that it's built and stuff like that, I don't want to break this. I don't want to tear it up or do anything on this, because they probably want a good penny on this. And if he wants to return this back, he can. So what I'm going to do is that, as you can see here, there's a bolt set right here and a set of bolts here, right? And that holds this thing in place. So I'm going to make a bracket that'll work in that, just like kind of more or less the way this is shaped. See how that's shaped right there? And then this way, I can bring the cable in on the bottom here, come around, I'll make some sort of a wheel, right here. They make dolly wheels that I can get in steel places where they're round and they have a groove in them, and that'd be perfect. I just have to have something with a groove in it. And then up here at the top side, I'll have the actuator. And the way that the factory I'm sorry, not the bolt, but the cable is designed with a threaded end. So this will allow me to adjust the length of the cable to the point where the actuator, when it pulls 6 inches, it pulls the cable to full taunt, so the emergency brake's at full power, and then it'll back it off. And so I've got to incorporate obviously the factory, the factory brake switch and everything. All that's got to be incorporated in the build. But basically, in a nutshell, that's what it is. And then In this area here, he has a factory panel. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if we can find the switches that were originally in this area on this Kia. And we can use one of those factory locations as a push button for the actuator. So basically to actuate the to pull it and then to push it. So a real simple circuit. I don't even have to build a timing circuit. I just have to build a circuit where it's open until it hits its point and stops, and then flips, and then I can return it back, and stuff. So really easy to do, nothing major. So that'll be simple to do, but I will not be able to do it now because I do not have the metalwork facilities here because I'm in his garage at his house. So I won't be able to do that. So from here, like I said, I got to take out the dead pedal here. And I got to lay down everything, get everything squared, get everything smooth and flat as possible. Look at the idea of how much carpet that I want to cut out, because we decided to go ahead and cut the carpet out in the area where the floor is, including the foam. And what that'll do for me is that will allow me to put the kick panel as far down as possible into this corner to minimize the depth of the 8-inch driver, so that I can try to basically get the 8 to fit right in the magnet, to fit right inside this corner right here. And if it's inside that corner right there, we'll be just fine. The other thing is I got to figure out angle of attack, where I'm gonna aim the 8s at and stuff. These being silver flutes and also the JLs, we're going to try to do 2 different drivers on here. The silver flute's off-axis response is really, really good. And since I don't have to concern myself about hot top end, like above, let's say, 200, above, let's say, 500 hertz or so, because we have mid-ranges up here. The off-axis response is not going to be that big of a deal. It's really not going to become an issue at all. I mean, literally, I could just mount the driver straight at you or sideways, and the output difference is almost going to be nothing, almost nil in terms of performance with the character or anything on there. So this way, I can get it in there pretty goddamn deep. And make it look really, really nice. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I thought about the motor, but the motor's wider than this hole is right here, so I can't go inside in there. So I'm going to utilize this as part of my AP system. So this is where we'll mount the grill assembly for the AP. So this is where the body of the AP will actually be mounted to this, and then the kick panel will mate to it. Is basically what I'm going to do here. So anyway, that's what I just wanted to show for right now. I will show you guys a little bit more as I keep going on. Power cable also is going to be running down here. Actually, it's most likely going to jog like this. It'll probably jog around. Once I have this cut out, they'll just go around there. And in the cutting out on this thing, because I don't have an air saw or anything, I didn't bring those tools with me. I'm just going to take and I'm going to cut out these spot welds. There are a couple of them around here and stuff, and then just bend it out and make the bracket come off. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Later. Morning. All right. Well, it's the next day. I have gotten all my problems taken care of. And problems, what I mean by that one is, let me get this panel out here. Had to do with electrical. In this car. This area right here where this is the area where the, right now you can't see it obviously, but there's a hole here that goes into the A-pillar. And this is what we're going to use for the AP system and stuff. This is where I'm going to enter into the vehicles, the body rail itself and the A-pillar itself. Okay. Now these are fully sealed areas. So we don't have to concern ourselves about water infiltration or anything like that. That's not going to be a concern at all, especially in today's modern vehicles. That is never an issue. One of the things I did do was I cut the carpet, as you can see here, and you can see that's it's a step, here and stuff. It's roughly a solid 1.5 inches of depth shift here. The reason to do this for is so that when I place the driver in its location, which should be about somewhere in that neighborhood. It's probably a little higher, a little bit higher up and stuff. This allows for me to be able to get the driver farther back in the car itself. Now you might think, oh, it's 1.5 inches, no big deal. Why would you cut the carpet? Well, the reality is that you have to take consideration of the thickness of the fiberglass, the plates, everything you're putting in here and stuff when you do this. And so that little inch and a half of movement is a lot, actually, especially for kick pedals and stuff. So this also gives me a better volume back here. The reason why that I like this is reflection problems. You know, inside the cavity itself, you have reflections that come back on the cone, and if you don't set them correctly, I mean, if you basically build fiberglass around the perimeter of the driver itself, without this volume back here, you'll get a lot of distortional noise. Because of reflections and cancellation will also happen within the driver. So, I mean, I don't technically need the volume because we're doing an AP, and it would be nice to have it smaller. But I'm going to put a but in this particular one. But I'm going to put clay and everything else inside this cavity. So I'm going to go ahead and make this smaller anyway. Internal volume of this cavity is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. On an AP system, what you do want to have is you want to have a smaller volume, cavity volume of the driver. This helps facilitate, the ability to control the impedance of the driver. And what we're trying to do is we want to flatten out the impedance of this driver so we have a good power range. Basically the response curve through it is the same in terms of power. So you'll see in a little while. But right now, this is me just getting it ready to go. I got to do the glass up